I guess we're restarting this recording.
No.
Welcome to Friends of Disney. I'm Megan, that's Jonelle, and that's Sean, and Casper Jr. is with us again today.
You have baby strength of a god.
You know what they say, old people strength and baby strength is unmatched.
Why is it, though, that babies just have the strongest grip on things they're not supposed to grab?
Casper Jr. is desperately trying to get to the mic because he likes how it feels on his, gums.
Okay, we could just sit here and watch him if we wanted to. Anyways, today's episode is our second DCOM.
I don't
We
know.
haven't talked about many DCOMs except for Descendants, I think.
Well, and then we did, Rise of Red.
Again, Descendants. We did the 4 Descendants movies last year.
I swear we did more.
For DCOMs?
Did we do Zapped?
No.
No.
Could G-Force technically be
No.
one?
No. Does that one Irish movie count?
Yes, The Luck of the Irish does count. Okay, so we have done more than just Descendants for DCOMs. But we're doing another DCOM.
Cadet Kelly.
Yes. One of the many queens of Disney Channel, Hilary Duff.
Lizzie McGuire.
Oh my god. This isn't alcohol. I don't drink, but I kind of wish it was after watching this movie.
I'm going to be the first one to say this. I've never seen this movie.
Really?
Never.
Nope, she never has.
Mm-mm. To the point where we had to pause the movie a couple of times and me be like, Sean, what the actual heck is happening?
It's true, and we also had to pause it multiple times because this movie released in 2002.
And it's very 2002.
It's very 2002.
Okay, but I loved this movie as a kid.
As a kid, it was fine. A lot of stuff went over our heads. We lived that era of time. We lived it. It made sense. Looking at it now, hearing a high schooler say, I didn't need to do math. My old school, we only did math when we felt like it.
Oh. Wouldn't that be a dream?
That's just called unschooling, and we all know how that's going.
Hold on. You need to explain. The one that loves math is saying, oh, let's only do math when we feel like it.
Yeah, except I always feel like doing math. So
There it is.
Casper Jr., what are you doing?
attempting to roll.
He likes to do that. Anyways.
Roll and roll and roll.
So you really had no issue rewatching this movie at all? No cringe factor or anything like that?
I had issues for sure. One, just more questions about junior ROTC.
Mm-hmm.
And also, new marriage, essentially, go straight to military school. Why didn't the parents just take her to public school? A more structured public school rather than full-on military school.
I think the reasoning is because her stepfather became the commandant.
And the way they made it, the way they talked about it is they were it was the only thing for Miles. And Miles?
Yeah, they said that they weren't
they were in the middle of nowhere.
It was a little more remote because they had to live on the grounds. So
I'm also just kind of thinking about would this really fly by today?
Well, so that's the thing. I think we all grew up with we're gonna send you to military school threat. We all heard that threat growing up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I did, but it was for my brother.
Well, that's the thing. We all heard that phrase. We're
Mhm.
gonna send you to military school. So many things had it, and they finally made a movie about one.
Okay. The only thing, since we are going to go on cringe factor here at some point, the only thing that was super cringe to me was the dance, the rifle dance off at the end.
The last dance at the very end. when she came back, or
When her and the other girl that did Even Stevens are like dancing together.
yeah, so the one at the very end.
Yeah.
That one was interesting to say the least.
It was like angry cheerleadering.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Did you guys ever play a game called like, oh my God, I forgot what it was called. But like essentially you used your body. It was off of a regular show episode, I think it was, or Adventure Time. But it was like called like Slapstick or something like that.
That sounds something like it's called slapstick sounds familiar.
Yeah, and like you would just go like
It
Hambone?
I think so.
from like the one semester I took of like theater, it kind of reminds me of like the like mirroring like exercise that you do where you have to like mirror the other person.
I mean, yeah, that dance was cringy. For me, it was interesting seeing the whole drill team part of it because you're a band kid. You've done drill team.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not this drill team.
Nope.
I mean, I did band because I wanted to get out of the house and I enjoyed playing my instrument. I didn't actually care about marching.
But like it felt weird because I looked at that and I was like, oh yeah, I did marching band and I did winter guard, which is color guard without the marching band, but it's not military based, even though marching bands are military based. Marching band does go back to military.
Okay, then wait. So sorry, did you do junior ROTC?
No. Part of me always kind of considered the possibility because my school did Navy ROTC
Okay.
and my dad was in the Navy.
Yeah, well my school we had an Air Force ROTC. I appreciate so I can talk. Saved it. Okay. There we go. But the high school that I went to had a junior ROTC for the Air Force. And like I would see them marching because like our school is like kind of like a perfect square almost, but like I would see them marching around the second floor just because it was easier for them to coordinate and stuff like that. But like most of the time it was all of them effing effing around. And then also at Whitworth, we know there were some people who still did ROTC. And as far as I know, these programs are essentially to help them rank up. So when they turn to an adult, they can get better positions.
Yeah, it does help with their ranking positions for if and when they enlist, because they don't have to enlist. Some people, it's just a nice structured form of discipline. That's a lot of the extent that I personally know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like knowing my background with marching band and winter guard, which even though they're more laid back compared to, you know, military ROTC, sorry, Megan's really distracting if you're not watching, just listening.
You're getting a little show over here.
Blinking. I still feel like I would have done pretty well, like given how I was able to receive the marching band and self-discipline just on that alone.
Yeah.
The added discipline wouldn't have necessarily meant much if
Yeah.
I were to be put in those situations, I feel like.
I know I would have struggled. But like that was kind of like my issue with the movie was like the structure was like pretty hard for her.
I think the part of the issue, and we talked about this while we were watching it, and Megan can chime in if she wants to, is how doesn't seem that, at least the school in the movie didn't seem that structured because it was kind of just a catch-all people. You had some people that have been there a while, some that haven't. And
For us, it's quite literally.
they had no grade system. It wasn't all freshmen together, all sophomores together.
It's quite literally the community school that my roommate went to.
Kind of, sort of. But you know what I mean? Like, if they had like a group of people that was like fresh for newbies
Mm-hmm.
to the school and stuff, and they went over more basic stuff, and she learned her way into this, that I feel like would have been a nicer structure. Although I do appreciate how they managed to get her to find the chip on her shoulder and work on like her learning the appreciation and having that drive.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments yet, Megan?
I do, but
Here, we'll switch.
all right, cool. Okay, okay. Here's the thing. As someone who works with children, every child needs structure, some more than others and some more rigid than others. But you can tell when a child is like what's her Kelly at the beginning, where she's like, I don't really have structure, to like having all the structure, right? And it's really hard for like any child or any person to go from having none to having like the complete opposite of having like all the structure in the world. And so like I feel bad for Kelly. But like at the same time, she was kind of a brat.
You don't have to say kind of. She was a brat.
Yeah, she was a brat. I didn't like
And
Kelly.
a petty one.
Oh yes, very petty brat. I'm just gonna come out and say I don't like Kelly. I didn't like any of the characters in this movie, to be completely honest.
I like the stepdad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make any comments because
You can make comments on.
I'm not gonna make comments.
Please make comments.
Okay. So,
Megan's experience with the military is not exactly a pleasant one.
so I knew one person in the I guess I knew two. One of my grandfathers did not talk about it. Like I didn't know he was in the military until one day my dad came up to me and was like, "You know, my dad was in the military, right?" And I was like, "What?" And then it was never brought up again. And then my other grandfather was also in the military. He has a tattoo about it. He talks about it all the time. And like, good for him. He's very active in like his communities, but he's not a good person. And so I feel very like off-put when we're talking about people from the military, because I have not necessarily had positive experiences with them. It's either like neutral or this is depressing. Why would anyone ever do this? Or this person is questionable at best.
Fair.
Yeah. Because the other experiences I had were like we had these like really in-depth like assemblies where they would read past soldiers' letters to their families before they died. And they would have the military people talk about like hard things that they had to do in the military.
This is a terrible assembly idea.
It was, look, I wept to the point where I got sick. Did I go home? No. But like, it was uncomfortable and it went on for 2 hours. And
Sorry, baby Passover.
that was Easter yesterday. But yeah, no.
Okay, I wanted to talk on like that's so weird.
Yeah, no, it was a crazy assembly, and the worst part was there was like different people from like the military, army, and navy like acting out like these different like it was like 3 different people like writing letters, and they would be like, it's December 28th, and then like there would be like a narrator, quote unquote, who'd be like, this is like right before the big battle of XYZ, before they died. Yeah, and it was like their last letters to loved ones.
I had to make a like okay, so in 8th grade we had an assembly for our veterans, and we had to make a poster for every single veteran that a student submitted from their family, or like and add like new reoccurring veterans to this list, and then we would send out handwritten letters to all the veterans, and then like a month in advance they would let us know if they were attending, so that way we knew how many chairs to gather, and then we would have them on a stage, and then we had like a whole presentation built for them. And then this is also living in a small town, so like not only was this as an assembly for the students, this was an assembly for your family, everyone in the town essentially.
See, Veterans Day assemblies are always like invite people, invite veterans to come and stuff and watch.
That's
And I
what
don't
was
know,
it-
and
it-
I don't know. My dad is military because he was in the Navy, like I said earlier. And I don't know, like yeah, he tells us stories about it.
Also, in
And
case any of you are wondering, Sean is off screen with Casper Jr., and I am impressed with his skills right now.
Mhm.
yeah, right.
He is in full dad mode right now.
Um, and so my dad never like he never pushed the military on us. He never tried to treat our household like he was back in the Navy or anything like that. He would just every once in a while tell us a relevant story to whatever was happening. Sometimes it'd be a life lesson. Sometimes it was just about him being drunk. Um, yeah, the Dumbo story. Anyway, but I don't know, like it was never a big part of my life. Like, yeah, we got military IDs because my dad was military for like 21 years or something like that, 22 years. So I don't know, like it's weird because like I have other family members that are like very hardcore military and stuff. Like they're retired, but they're still super invested in like that community. And my dad's like, I had my time, I enjoyed my time. I would go back if I could, but I've moved on from that time.
Yeah, and I mean, my family, sort of my family, more like my sister's father tried to get me to like join in, but like the benefits are nice, but I'm not willing to risk.
Well, I make my dad cringe because I keep telling him, yeah, if I were to enlist in the military, I'm just going to go for the Navy band.
See, I could not like join any of like the ranks because I am too gentle of a soul. If you gave me any sort of gun, I would cry.
Join Space Force.
Space Force, let's go!
Space Force buddies.
So the joke is that like I would just train the dogs. I'd just be like, let me train the dogs, and then I'll send them off into the wild. But no, yeah, I'm too much of a gentle soul to like go into the military and like shoot things.
Okay, there's something I kind of want to divert onto for a different subject.
Uh-huh.
The boy sitch.
It was
Weird.
annoying.
That was weird.
And,
Okay.
and y'all, he was not that cute. Y'all, he was like mediocre.
Let me tell you, it's also not realistic to dating any person who is in like service at the moment. Cause most of them are just fucking players. I hate to say it.
Here's the thing. The guy in question is the same one as Even Stevens gal.
Yeah.
They're like the same rank and everything else like that.
Yeah.
So
Like, okay, so like the super cute guy, both of the I hated that too. Both of the girls fighting over the same guy.
okay, but
Ugh.
Hilary Duff's character Kelly wanting to go out with Mr. Captain or whatever, who's super cute. All I can think about is the freshman that wants to date the senior, and I'm like, no.
And he taught her how to spit.
We're not that kind of channel.
Okay, but it was
gagging.
also a sentence put on Sweet Life on Deck. Remember?
Yes, I remember.
Listen. It's also like freshmen who are like, I want to date an RA because they're nice to me. And it's like, bro, that's their job, is to be nice to you.
You're not that special.
You're not that special.
But
Shout out to that one RA, by the way, my freshman year, who would not leave like my pod because I had to go shower and I was like in my bathroom and it was like, I gotta go shower. And he was like, but like, tell me about your second week here. And I'm like, I gotta go shower. I'm in my bathrobe.
Little nosy Mr. RA.
Oh, like nothing was showing for the record.
But you just wanted the privacy.
I wanted the privacy. I was like literally walking down the hallway to the bathroom.
I also like just wanted to like point out the perception of that this guy had for, because like most girls, like if you're thinking about dating a military man, most of the time it's like we go on 2 dates and then we're married and then he's gone and I'm somehow magically pregnant. Like that is military dating.
It happens so often. It makes me sad.
But that's also not military dating. And like in this movie, it's portrayed as like, oh my gosh, he's muscular and cute. And he's like, I like her because she gets dirty.
And not in that way.
But in reality, the guys that are like currently on the base and are not hitched up, they only like you because you're getting dirty.
Yeah. And yes, in that way.
And I hate to say it, but like, that sucks. Because like, I have quite literally caught one guy that was on the base and like, while I was doing multiple activities at different times and different days, somehow he was on a date with a girl at the same place I was at. One time for a school project, the other time just like personal reasons. It's awkward though. And he only used me for one thing. So if you're in the military, please don't be an asshole dude. Like if you want to be a fuckboy, that's fine. But don't be a gentleman about it. Just say, I just want to have you know what with you. And close the deal. Don't make her hoping you're going to give her the ring because that's what we all hope. Sorry.
Don't let Rachel Zegler hear you. Anyway. But so weird thing for me while watching this, and I promise this will make sense in just a moment. Earlier today, I was watching Mulan, the first one. And you know how in like Mulan, like there's this whole thing about like Mulan bringing honor to their family and stuff, and how it's very much this like honor and shame culture and stuff. The collective is like what's most important.
You're not tilting the bottle up enough.
I don't know. He just wants it in his mouth. But anyways, it's interesting because watching this movie, they shared the same principles for the military, but it's interesting how they had to drill that in because we inherently don't have that culture. And like Kelly's character acted like, no, we're supposed to be individualistic and not be uniform at all and stuff and free spirited, which was cringy, by the way.
Very.
I don't know. It was just an interesting like juxtaposition to put me after watching Mulan earlier because I was like, yeah, we don't have that culture at all. We don't care about the collective here, but we have to drill that in for the military for obvious reasons. But it was just a weird bit because I was watching Mulan earlier.
Fair. I don't know. I did watch Cadet Kelly a few days ago, so I am brushing up on some not so recent thoughts, but like this movie also doesn't age well.
No.
It does not.
Oh, that was hilarious. I really wish you guys could like sometimes see and hear what Casper Jr. just did.
He farted.
You should see Sean's face.
And Casper Jr.
He's dying.
Anyways, it does not age well.
No.
No, it does not.
Just like that fart.
We moved on.
Okay, sorry. That was still pretty funny. But I don't know. I just like today, how many people are going to military school?
You don't hear about it.
No, you don't hear about it at all. You just hear about them joining junior ROTC at school.
Well, and it's clear that this is just part of it because, like, some of the schools they went to was a high school,
Yeah.
and for some reason, a military academy could not beat a high school ROTC, which mind boggles me.
I'm
Must-
also curious on how. So, like, is this funded by. I'm just kind of also wondering about the logistics of the school. So, is it a private academy that is serviced by all previous veterans who had served? Or is this like an official governmental type of school? Or is this like.
Well, going off of what we do know,
wait, I have more to add to Jonelle's thing.
mhm.
Like, is there an application process to get in?
Yeah.
Is this like a public thing for like all the kids who are like on the military base, or is it like you have to like get like
Well, it seems
like,
like
apply?
everyone like has like high, like their parents have like some type of ranking that
Mhm.
was high enough. And so like do you have to be like in the elite class of the
Human?
government?
Okay, so let's dissect this for a moment.
We're
Get-
dissecting it all right
Okay.
now.
Okay, because I hear both of your thoughts. So, for one, it's called George Washington Military Academy. With a relation to our first president, it's probably government related and government funded. Kelly's like next door bunkmate in the barracks said that this was like a heaven to her. Like she loved being there.
Unless it's funded by the Washington family.
Like George Washington.
Yeah.
Does that family still exist, or did it die off?
I'm pretty sure like
This is gonna lead into a theory.
Hold on.
Film theory.
Thanks for watching. Anyway, not sponsored by Film Theory. Anyways,
but Lee, I mean, we could be. We
You got Megan's attention.
anyways, she was talking about like how before she went to the academy and stuff, life sucked for her.
Yeah.
And I don't want her profile, but we have limited options here and we're theorizing.
film
He
theorizing.
does not fit the same demographic as Kelly. Which means she probably had lower socioeconomic status and everything else. And so
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sean will be back momentarily.
I'll finish my thought first.
Casper Jr. just
baby.
spit up
Anyways,
all over.
So she probably it's probably an application process, but funding wise and everything else is up in the air because we don't know if there's probably if it's scholarship based or if it's just you get into it and it's like so much money goes to so many seats a year. We
Mhm.
don't know the details of that. But it's probably something within the government, at least by the name of George Washington Military Academy, having actual veterans there, and the fact it's an ROTC related thing, so they are able to advance in rank.
Except I would like to, while you go clean the baby up,
You guys talk.
me and Megan will go on the theory here.
Yeah.
I would like to think that this is a theory of like where George Washington's family had this, like secret stash of money and wanted to continue to, because they're like go and continue to fund students' education through the military as long as they had joined an ROTC program, which they made that school for that. But little did you know, in Wilbur, Washington, if you attend the high school for all 4 years, you can actually get a scholarship for Eastern.
What?
Because an Eastern alumni, he was very successful and donated. Essentially, when he passed away, he gave a will to the school for his inheritance to go towards future students' education as long as they had met the criteria of going all the way from freshman to senior year in high school and had like certain other academic
Achievements.
yes, thank you.
Mhm.
And so like I kind of wonder if it's something like that,
That's beautiful. I don't know. I don't know much about Gonzaga prep, other than they're preppy.
because there's also like charity schools or charter schools. There we go.
Yeah. Make sure that's the correct size. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Just mimicking Casper Jr. Aren't you glad I told you now? You grabbed a newborn size.
Oh.
So Casper Jr. spit up everywhere. And so Sean was grabbing new clothes for Casper Jr. and he grabbed like a newborn, like 0 to 3 month outfit. And I was like, make sure you check the size. And he walks back just glaring at me and picks up a new outfit.
I also had like a continuing subject on the matter of this though, and now I'm trying to remember where it was going, but I was talking about academic achievement. Oh yes, I thought you would enjoy this conversation. The PE circumstances.
Yeah, tell me about PE. The physical education.
That sucks. No way in hell are you gonna have me doing a whole military course.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, no. Just like how you had to have me run a mile? Yeah, no, man.
I didn't mind doing the mile run, but I mean that was also because I was in track and field.
Oh, as someone who was not in track and field, I minded. I had to run for like 10 minutes straight in high school.
Which, by the way, like,
In a square.
I kind of...
Not outside. In a square. In the gym.
That's weird.
Yeah.
They just took us to the track.
I am so jealous. But no, we just ran inside in a square.
I gotta say, I'm also, like, not really in favor of trying to get students to run a mile.
You don't know what, like, underlying health conditions they have.
Exactly. Like, I would prefer, like, a slow jog. Like, you can even be jog walking, believe it or not. But, like, you're doing the same pace as a jog, but you're going really slow. So, yeah, you're taking maybe more steps in, like, smaller, short, quick steps, but you're still keeping the bounce of the jog. You're still going at a walking pace that's manageable for you. And like I would much prefer like a PE teacher have you do that for 10 minutes rather than run a mile for 10 minutes or like however as quickly as you can, because like also it pulls out a lot of students' insecurities, and if you tell them just to like if a kid wants to run, they're gonna run. So like there's no harm in saying like run for 10 minutes, but at the bare minimum please be doing a jog.
I want to add off to this because at least when I did it, there were like percentiles. So if you did like 15 push-ups, you were like in like whatever percentile, and you were supposed to get like above like you're supposed to get like above like the 50 because you wanted to be better. And I like speaking as someone who was not very athletic during my school times just because I could not be. That was just not something that my parents were like insistent upon. I had a really bad mile. I could not do push-ups because I'm double jointed. And so literally my arms would lock.
Well, and then for me, like I did weightlifting in high school and I did a lot of throwing. And of course, like this doesn't help my circumstances at all. But I enjoyed those things. It was fun. I just pushed through the pain. But now if I was a high schooler now and I was going to de-age myself and go back into high school, please don't take this literally. I do not want to be a high school student, but like if I was to go in a physical education class and do those certain circumstances, like I have arthritis in both of my hands because I broke them too many damn times.
Are you talking about the obstacle course?
We're talking about like how like
In relation to the obstacle course, yes. And then
I
how.
would love the obstacle course.
Oh, God, Sean, hold up.
hold up. Me and Jonelle are talking about how like we wouldn't want to do the obstacle course because we were relating it back to like the like
Pre-existing conditions
Yeah.
of a person and you don't know their full history.
like Jonelle's talking about her arthritis. So like who is texting me?
But like the ones where you had to like go around the gym and then like sit and stretch as far as you can.
Yeah.
It's forcing you, like, because we're kind of naturally competitive people, it's having you push your body to its limits. That part is okay. There's nothing wrong with pushing your body to its limits. But
As long as you do it safely.
yeah, and that's the second, like, that's the real issue is safety, is because, like, in PE, how many kids are like actually not listening around to the safety instructions of how you should be physically doing an activity to make sure you're getting blood flow and oxygen to all parts of your body? They're not listening.
Unless you or me.
And you enjoy, well, actually, not that you don't enjoy it. I think it's more of just like you wanted to know the rules and guidelines to make an informed decision.
Yes, I was very much like
I would put you in that category.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like there's times you probably don't enjoy listening to it,
Oh yeah.
but I'm sure you appreciate the knowledge to make a better decision about that.
Especially when it came to like my physical body because like snapping a bone is going to hurt. It's one thing to like
Yes, snapping a none of you guys can see this on camera, but I have a scar that goes, I have two scars from breaking both of these bones in half in my arm.
yeah, like those things hurt. And so I was like, if they're going to tell me how to not hurt my body, that's a great idea. Now, was I always paying attention in like English class about like not getting a paper cut or like not like when my English teacher would draw out about like how to write an essay? No, I kind of just after around and found out, my guy. But like when it came to PE, I was like, I am actually going to pay attention because I don't want to like snap my neck.
But that's the thing is like we're having students do these physical activities where they do require a little bit more instruction to properly um energize and take care of your body, but students aren't listening to that and they do lead to minor injuries, sometimes causing in serious injuries.
This is related, I promise. I remember I actually have a friend who I had while I was in band, and just because she positioned her flute wrong, she ended up hurting her wrist and it took forever for it to actually heal normally when she fixed her position. Just how she held her flute because her wrist was bent the wrong way.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been going to I need to go back into physical therapy, but like I've been out in and out of physical therapy and recently have been going back for just my hands because in addition to breaking my arm, I have shattered both of my wrists entirely. And when this is where this whole like thing brought up the like this whole activity situation, but you started talking about percentiles. And going into that physical therapy appointment, they percentiled me for my age on my pinch strength, how far I can spread my fingers, how much I can actually lift with my arms. Guys, guess what? I am not the strength of a 25-year-old in my hands at all. I am the strength of apparently a 60-year-old in my hands.
Like, I understand doing percentiles if it's just like, for example, when you have a baby, they will weigh the baby and like measure the baby so that way they can figure out like on a scale of like it's like on like 100 babies like where that baby falls. And so if it's below like 50%, that means like it's very low. Over 50% was high. Our son, when he was born, was super, super low in weight. And so,
He was fine in weight when he was born, but the thing is his weight didn't come back. He lost his weight, which is expected, but it took forever to recoup and keep it up. And it took us a while to actually get his weight on track.
And
Yeah.
that's the final part too, is like when you get these diagnoses of what percentile you're in, is like that percentile doesn't define you. Because yes, I may have the pinch strength and the grip strength of a 60-year-old person, but I can still lift really heavy things as a 25-year-old, but I just can't rely on my hands, my wrist, or my arms, which is not how you're supposed to be lifting, by the way, but it just means that, like, instead I should be lifting with my legs. And so I need to find equipment that is going to allow me to push items with my legs. So I'm more beneficial for lifting things up the stairs that I can strap something to my waist and carry it up rather than using my arms.
So what's the relation to the obstacle course?
So we were talking about like how it could be dangerous to go through that obstacle course because it's like very rigorous.
So I think the point is,
But like the point that we were making is like
For someone who's like Kelly, who's like brand new in the school, just like out of the blue, you know, like, I don't think that's for every student.
I also think that like before you send them on that obstacle course, because we didn't see it at least, they need to explain how the obstacle course works.
Not just in the dirt, mud.
Mud, right? Like I assume she got some training on how to like do the harness,
Mm-hmm.
but like she didn't know how to like army crawl. And there was like what is it like the
Okay, going on a zip
wire?
line and needing to be harnessed, though, that would be fun. There are certain aspects, and like, I'm once we're done, we'll wrap this up and then go to you. But like, I do understand where some parts of this are fun, and I want you to go into that.
well, I was just gonna say, because like I hear what you guys are saying, but I'm gonna be play devil's advocate here. There's like we have three of us, because at least one of us will be at devil's advocate. You gotta remember that if this is mimicking a military institution, if someone is shits crabs and giggles, say paralyzed in both legs, is in a wheelchair, they're not going to enlist in the military. The military won't let them because they can't perform what the military needs to do. That's why they screen people before they go into the military. Hold on one second. Let me finish my thoughts.
I'm just gonna hold my hand up. Like I have something I want to say.
So, the pre-existing conditions I get. But it also makes sense, like, in a real military situation that this is trying to mimic. In a real situation, they would be screened ahead of time for the actual military. Now, I understand this is just a school. I feel like I'm going to say something that will eventually get your hand to go down.
Oh, I feel like Megan was going to say that disabled people can work in the military now.
I mean, yes, but I have something different. So Sean, continue, and if he addresses it, I'll lower my hand.
But the other thing is, like, I also understand, like, me and Jonelle both did sports. There is such thing as going too hard too fast,
Yes.
and that will damage your body.
Yes.
And I think that once again points out there is no established structure of the school, of regardless if you've been there for 5 years, or if this is your first year.
Or your first week.
They didn't have an established structure. Of course, the people who have been there for 5 years are well suited for that obstacle course. That obstacle course may rip the newbie's body to shreds with how they're having to work out. If you go too hard on day one, you will rip your body apart. And it'll tell you.
Are we going to mention the blanket?
I was, but like
What, Megan?
okay, so like talking about this, sorry, this is like kind of slightly side tangent, but like I can imagine someone going through this like obstacle course and being like, "Oh, I think I have asthma." Just like the same way that like doctors when they're going through their trainings are like listening to heartbeats and then they're like, "Oh, my heart sounds different than everyone else." And then they figure out they have a heart murmur. Like one of those situations. What's the military gonna do about that? I'd be like, oh,
See, this
never
is
mind.
where I worry, like, if you don't know about pre-existing conditions, and like, especially if you are someone who has PCOS and like your imbalance of hormone. I'm just going from my perspective. If there was like a woman who was going through what they have in my body, um, and your hormone imbalance comes from stress, and you're like a very stressful person, a course like that, it's not gonna help you, and it's just gonna make you feel worse.
Well, we can only assume that as a school they would know that.
Yeah.
Again, we can only assume that they would, because it would make sense. Don't make the person who has asthma run this ridiculous course without some kind of aid.
But it would also then lead, like, average Joe me goes into a military school and then does extreme workout, and then, like, let's say I have never done sports before either, and I wake up in the morning and I'm like super sore, but like even afterwards I notice like my heart isn't beating as fast as even some of the newbies, like it's beating faster or other things like that. I feel like situations like this can also bring out symptoms of you becoming a hypochondriac.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you're someone who has a lot of stress and then you realize like you kind of outwardly show that, you're going to start building new stress of what existing, like what conditions do I have.
Yeah, I mean, with our limited knowledge, there's only so much we can do.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to divert on that because I was just
But I think that obstacle course looks fun.
I think that looks awful.
Also, I find it weird that you keep pointing out that she didn't know how to army crawl. That's just out of her own stupidity at that point. I'm sorry, he's army crawling. You do the army crawl before you actually crawl. He's like
He's
her not having the logic on how to do that. That's all on her.
he is talking about our child, by the way, who's learning how to crawl.
Okay, now let's talk about the blanket
The
situation.
blanket, how she tore up the blanket.
I think the tearing of the blanket was the only line crossed. That's the only issue I had with it.
I'm just upset they don't like come on. You're already living in bland basic ass barracks.
I was asking Sean about this, actually. I was like, why can't they have their own blankets? Lice?
Here's the thing.
Like you're not in jail.
I think the only thing that really is it's the only answer I could give, and it's the only one that makes sense that I can think of. It's a military school that does stuff by what actually happens in the military. If we were to be drafted, say all three of us were drafted today.
They're sending me straight back home.
I use this example with Megan, but just hear me out, okay? Say they drafted me, okay?
Okay.
I go off to the military. I'm in their boring clothes, their boring haircut, everything's beige or very dull green. But I want my blanket, which is nice, bright red and white. If I was out at war with a red and white blanket, that's a giant, hey, look at me flag. The whole point of the dull colors is to just generally make everything seem bland. They don't, where nothing is noticeable or less noticeable. And the only reason that they discourage, why they don't want that in the school is because it's supposed to mimic the military.
And it's supposed to, like, from what I've been told, is like the military as like Navy, Air Force, all that, but like under the umbrella of military is supposed to break you down so they can build you back up. So you're supposed to cut down all individualism so you can build up teamness. And so if you have a blanket, your special blankie, that like still makes you like an individual. I think it's stupid. But
In practice, it's stupid. But I think in concept, it makes sense because you have to think about the team. You have to think about your squad. You got to think about what is above you. Otherwise, who's going to support you? Who's going to have yours back? You have, at that point, when you're out where you need to rely on people and have that more team mentality.
I just find it stupid though. Like
Oh, we know it is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because like, okay, like I watch a lot more prison documentaries than I do like military ones. So like quite literally they're essentially living in like because of all the bare necessities they're allowed to have, it feels just like a common jail barrack.
Yep.
Like, come on, we're in the home of the brave and the free.
Trying to protect the home of the brave and the free.
Just let me sleep with my motherfucking blanket.
I didn't say our argument was a good one, but it's the only one I could come up with.
Yeah.
Someone in the military, like, please point out, like, email us. We have an email, believe it or not.
I'll ask my dad just for you, okay?
Okay.
We're gonna shout out at
My dad.
well-
mention my dad.
And then
at good old Daddy-O.
and then from what I understand with my boyfriend, because he did basic
Basic what?
Training.
for like in the military.
I should also put, this is the biggest disclaimer you can ever see right here. I know absolutely nothing about the military other than it exists. There is the Navy, there's the Army, and there's the Air Force.
And Space Force now.
And Space Force, and I think there's also Homeland Security. But other than that, I don't know any of like the names. I don't know any of them, like, I don't know anything else they do.
You go.
I just know that there is definitely the military and there's multiple branches and it's all part of our judicial system, but
It's not part of our judicial system.
well,
No.
it's
No.
okay.
There's no. It is not part of executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government.
Isn't like the commander in chief, like the president?
Yes.
He like is like,
Here-
yes, you can go there.
Hear me out, but like that part is in relation to the executive. They can hear what the military is doing, but they're not like commanding them.
Probably.
The president is commander in chief.
President is commander in chief, but I think that Congress and
There are
the Supreme Court
set up to where the military.
Our government is weird, but like essentially people who are often willing to risk their lives for us to be free, they're doing their thing, okay? I have never been in that thing of them doing their own thing.
here's the thing.
Tell us what it's like and let us know if you have watched Cadet Kelly, and please give us the tea
I mean, yes,
of what movie magic is and what it isn't in this movie.
yes, like tell us, but also please don't go into grim details. I can deal with spiders. The second you bring in blood and gore, I'm outsies.
I can handle it. I watch the comments.
Okay, well,
Okay, so if
give
you have
us a
spiders,
Oh
kindergarten.
my.
if you have spiders, call me. If you have blood and gore, call Sean.
Anyways,
And if you have math, call Jonelle.
I think we've hit that point. Bye, friends.
Like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram and YouTube. We need more subscribers.
Bye, friends.
Wait, before we go, I want to shout out my friend M. You got us 2 new subscribers.
Woo! I did not know that.
I'll tell you that in a second. Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.
Bye.